Hello everybody, welcome back to SketchCraft Art Tips. We're going to be doing some commission talks with Ashley West, aka Gangfeather. Ashley, say hello.
Hey, I'm back.
Hey. So basically, it's like this, folks. Ashley is probably the only person I know who's actively doing commissions, like myself. And every now and then I like to have a conversation about just different techniques and stuff like that. And Ashley coincidentally happened to be putting up a Kickstarter. It's got a few days left where she's going to offer some commissions. So I thought, what a good time to cross promote, right, Ashley?
Yep.
Fist bump, right?
Woo!
So one punch it. So let's just quickly show off your Kickstarter, and then we're going to talk about commissions and stuff. So we can bring this up. So let me jump over to the Cintiq cam. Cintiq. All right. So here we go. So this right here is your Art of Velthanius, which you're offering some prints and stuff, and just doing what, a few $100, just to kind of get some stuff out. It's pretty cool. And then you could see, ooh, look at all this nifty stuff. Oh, if it ever loads. Yeah, you know, it doesn't matter what.
Isn't that the most awkward thing?
You got the photo bucket?
Oh.
It's the photo bucket, that's why. They slow down their streaming, whatever you call that, their bandwidth.
Yeah.
So this stuff's all pretty dope. So this is your Kickstarter. I'll make sure I have links, but if you go to Art of Velthanius, you type that shit into Google. Watch, let's try it right now. Let me go Art of Velthanius. I'll just copy this. Right? Type that into Google. Let's just see if Google brings up the Kickstarter right away. Look at that. Oh shit, first thing that comes up. So,
whoa.
Look at that. Pretty amazing. So guys, want to get some artwork from Ashley? This is the way to do it, folks, quite frankly. And I'm going to be honest, for some of those tiers you're offering, Ashley, I might have to see if my wife will let me spend. It's tough when you just buy a house. You're like, I want to buy some art. She's like, But
right.
Yeah, $50, you can get an 11x17 custom commission. For real?
I try to make it cheap. Yeah.
Those full pencils?
No. Those are inks. The pencils are more.
How much are the pencils? Where is that?
They're like 150.
150.
Yeah.
There we go. And
it's tighter work.
Tighter work. Oh, yeah, right there. 140. 170. Okay. Pretty dope. Good stuff. All right. So let's talk a little bit about commissions and stuff. So Ashley, you know, a lot of times some of the questions they ask me is like, Rob, how do you get people to buy art from you?
Yeah.
And aside from putting up a Kickstarter and being like, here's where you can buy it, please, I hope someone sees my fucking
really
post. Like, like it's tough. Like I remember starting on DeviantArt. Well, let me go back further. I started doing commissions around high school. So like I would just be that guy that drew at school. And I imagine these days it's more than just one or two people. So I don't know how well that'll work out for folks. But eventually when the internet became bigger, 2004, 2003, I started going onto boards and being like, I'm available for commissions. And I don't know about you, Ashley, but every time I did that, my response was nothing. Like every time I've been like, I can draw, no one cared. So one of the things I started doing was just drawing commissions. At the level of detail I'd be willing, I would spend an hour on something and I would be like, I would post it up as if I had already sold it. I'd be like, there's a Wolverine, commission 1, you know, done. And then commission 2, you know, whatever. And it was just this checklist of, and after like a while of that, I would get people, hey, can I get on that commission list? You know, can I get whatever? And I'd be like, awesome. Except, you know, especially at first when you're new, they would see what you're doing and then we go, I like what you're doing, but can you also draw like 50 Green Lanterns?
What? Yeah.
Yeah, right. You ever get that? Like, how do you first, you're you're in your early 20s. So, like, how are you? Like, where's your biggest place where you're just like regularly doing commissions in terms of promoting and stuff? Like,
Um, biggest place I'm doing commissions, probably Instagram. Like people just message me and go, "Hey, are you doing? Would you draw this or do you do commissions?" I'm like, "Yeah." And then half the time they'll come to me with their original characters, and I'm like, "I don't do that." And they're like, "Oh, okay, bye."
that's an interesting conversation too to have. I want to talk about too about commissions because right now some of the conversation on the internet is you don't own Wolverine. Why are you drawing him for a commission? And I'm like, you can draw a Wolverine for someone. The fucking commission
Yeah.
police aren't going to show up at your house and be like, do,
Well,
you know.
one, because you make it like no other Wolverine.
Well, they don't own your art, so you can sell a
Yeah.
commission to a person. Like, matter of fact, it's called, that's the very
It's
definition of
called
fan.
fan art. Like
Fan.
even I get people that draw fan art of my characters and I'm like, that's cool. It just means that people are like your stuff, you know?
Now, if you made a website, I draw Wolverine for you.com, then you're going to get,
Yeah,
you're
that's a
branded as the
little
Wolverine
different.
guy, and you draw like Ashley, if you grow out a lot of hair and you become the Wolverine chick, and your whole
Yeah.
thing is Wolverine and using their logos to help brand you, and all your website is wolverinechick.com, and you grow the muttons, which would be amazing. Uh, you might see the commission police show up to your house.
Yeah.
The other thing would be is original characters. Now, in terms of not drawing my own, but a lot of times, especially starting out, people would ask me, Rob, can you draw my original character? And I started doing that. Matter of fact, let me quickly run over to my DeviantArt page. You could see a lot of these. I see these like $10, $15 quick commissions. Let me see, type in sketch into my Deviant, and we'll go back into history here really quickly. Scroll all the way. We gotta scroll down here, folks. It's gotta go back a few years. Do 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 do. And one of the problems I had with taking these is, damn, this is really just gonna take forever. Is that here we go. So we're getting into like stuff like these are little saucy sketches I did. Here's like these quicker. This would be an original character of theirs. That would be an OC. This is what they call them, the
Yeah,
OCs,
OCs.
right? And like
That's what I normally call it.
this would be one, and this would be one. So this is old, right? This is 2011. This is like me sketching for about an hour, pretty loose.
Okay.
But what I
I'm still,
found out with these things was people were taking these sketches and then making entire comic books
yeah.
and stuff out of it. And I was like, really, the sketch? Like not just from me, but from other people on DeviantArt and stuff like that. And
What? Yeah, and that's so these are all okay, Thornster, those are
yeah, those are all people's characters,
okay.
And so my way around it was I was doing these little mini kind of like poster designs, because that's what made it fun for me. Um,
Yeah.
and I found that, wow, that just became their cover for their.
Yeah, and then yeah.
So these commissions became backwards, what I call like backdoor freelance,
Yeah.
so I don't do OCs anymore for that exact reason. And I
Yeah.
take it you're on the same wavelength with that, Ashley?
Yes.
You don't do
Yeah.
OCs anymore. You'll
Yeah.
draw your own characters though, right?
Yeah, like if someone's like, I want you to draw your character, I'm like, okay, I don't have a problem with that. But
Um,
that's the only original character.
Now now I want to talk just this is free form. So if you got anything you want to bring up in terms of like some of your biggest tips or frustrations you've had or advice you'd like to give out to people, I always recommend this. If you're an artist, right, and you want to draw commissions, I think the first thing you need to do is buy a few from other artists. And it
Yeah.
isn't just because you should spread the wealth. I think you should go through the process of what it's like to get a commission from the customer side of Surface, like the fan side, what it's like to,
Yeah.
how long they'll take. Sometimes, I got commissions now that I sold through at con back in June. I'm finishing up because, life. So sometimes, you get that issue. Other times, I'm not going to say it's a quality issue, but different commissions come out differently depending on where you're at. Let me give an example. Ashley, when you do a commission at your house, how many hours do you roughly put into that one piece?
Probably, I mean, like, probably more than I should, but like if it's pencil, I mean, like 10 hours maybe, depending on how much it is. Sometimes if it's multiple characters and I got to sketch it up digitally, print it out, and then do the pencils again, and I'll shade it. And, so it could take anywhere. I'm going to say 10 hours is probably a little long. Probably like maybe 5 to 8 hours.
You
Let's say
probably
that.
average
5 to 8
between
hours.
5 and 6 hours, right? Let's
Yeah.
just say you average about 5.5 hours
Yeah.
per
Now, if
commission.
it's an ink sketch, like if it's the ink sketches where I just do ink and it's really fast, it's more like 2 or 3. So.
Now, at a convention, how long do you have to spend on a commission?
Well, probably,
Third of that time.
couple hours a piece. Yeah, a couple hours
Tops.
a piece, really.
Tops. So like
Yeah.
this would be, I think, an example. You did this Batman at the Vegas Con, right?
Yeah.
This one right here.
Yeah, where he's all busted up and
Yeah,
got,
it's like got a
yeah.
cool like
Yeah,
street
that took
style.
me. I was up till like 7 my body time, like 7 in the morning, 5 a.m. Vegas time, but 7 a.m. my time. And I woke up like 3 hours later and I was like, but I got it done. But
Right.
yeah.
Versus, let's go through, I think the Max. The Max you did at home, right?
Yeah, I did the Max.
So
That
here,
one probably took the least amount of time
yeah, because he's
because
mostly
all I had to
doing.
do was, yeah,
Yeah, let's find. What would be a
pencils.
complicated commission? What would be the Zatanna?
Complicated?
Like a more.
Zatanna was pretty complicated because it was a lot, just because it was a lot. You know what's complicated actually is the one I'm doing right now, Goku and Naruto. That's complicated because it's 2 characters, and then I had to make sure
On the
that they
foreshortening.
were the composition. Yeah, the composition was good, and the foreshortening, and then it was kind of like they wanted them to be fighting over food. So I was like, all right, let's put them in food paradise. So. And I just finished that one. I'll post it up later if anybody's interested in looking.
Yeah, that's coming out pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'm really happy with it. So.
What's it? So when you get this commission, this is from one person or from 2 different people? The Goku X
This is
Naruto
from one person.
So
Yeah.
like, how does that
Like
conversation
crossover.
start? Like, what's a typical?
They're usually someone asks me like, "Hey, do you do commissions? I love your artwork, blah, blah." And I'm like, "Yeah, I do. What were you thinking?" They're like, "Well, I was thinking Naruto and blah, 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 and they could be doing this and that and this." And
Hello? I think she cut out. I think Ashley cut out. She cut out. Let me leave the call. Let's see. This is why we do it live, folks. Oh, shucks. Ashley? Hello? Always goes this way. Maybe she lost internet. Or her computer crashed. It's possible. Her computer probably crashed, right?
Hey, Rob, you there?
Hey, let's just try Skype, see if that doesn't crash your Mac.
Okay, yeah, because it totally crashed.
Yeah, you definitely sound better on the other one. So maybe next time we'll work it out later. So you were saying when you get the commission for the Naruto Goku, like how does that go?
What?
When you get
Sorry.
when you get a 2-character commission like this, right? And someone says, "Hey,
Yeah.
I want to see if you're willing to draw like Naruto versus Goku." How does that process start?
Where did I cut off?
Just start from the beginning. Like
Okay. So, all right. So basically, they message me. They say, "Hey, will you draw Naruto and Goku together?" And first they're like, "I like your art. Do you do commissions?" And I say, "Yeah, I do commissions." And they go, "Okay, will you draw Naruto and Goku?" I was thinking they could do this and that and this and that and this and that. And then they go, and then the particular guy was like, "But I also have my own symbol that I want to draw, and it means this. And I was wondering if you could incorporate that." And I was like, "Well, I don't really want to do that because one, it's your personal symbol, and I don't want to mess it up in any way, and I really don't want you being particular with me." That's kind of the whole thing. And I didn't say it like that, but that's pretty much the reason for it. And I was like, "But I'll do everything else." you know,
And when you get
because
a
that
commit, and okay, so Naruto and Goku have very specific styles. One's Akira
right.
Toriyama, right?
Mm-hmm.
And who's the artist on Naruto? I'm unfamiliar with.
I don't. I'm unfamiliar with
Japanese
it.
dude. So I'm gonna assume,
Sorry.
but they each have their own unique style. Like one of the things that I've had a hard time doing, is, okay, like a difference between a commission and a publisher is I like to put my own personal stamp, how I draw on a character. And when you have characters like this that are pretty iconic, how inclined do you balance between that's recognizable as Naruto and Goku versus your
Right.
style, right?
Yeah.
Do you even care?
Go ahead.
Like,
What do I? Um. So basically, why? Like, what did I choose to make sure like people know that it's like Goku and Naruto?
yeah, like do you
Yeah.
feel how inclined do you feel to because one of the problems I'm having, folks, like I'm doing a lot of color pencil work right now. Let me give you an example, right? So this is supposed to be in the mail, but I couldn't get it out Saturday. Let me quickly hold this up. So this is let me see if I can jump to the live cast. Give you an example. So like this is there we go. Obi-Wan thing I did, right? Color pencil. It's all color pencil sketch cover. And if you type in Star Wars color pencil into Google, you're going to find out that most of it is people like drawing from photos of either Ewan McGregor or Alec Guinness and recreating that in color pencil. It's very difficult to find someone's unique art style where they then color penciled on top of it. Does
Yeah.
that make sense?
Yeah.
Because a lot of the work these days are coming from people who are like, I want to see the character as I know how they exist. You have a unique art style, right? And so when you're doing a commission, like, do you care at this point whether you don't want to just be recreating a pose that they already own on their wall,
Yeah,
right?
so
Like,
basically I don't really care if it looks like Naruto or not. What we need is Naruto is like he's younger. Goku is older. So Naruto is going to be smaller. So so obviously Goku's going to be bigger. Goku's hair that really defines who he is. So just get his hair correct, get Naruto's hair correct, make sure he's wearing the symbol on his head because that kind of defines who he is. He's always wearing that symbol. And then Goku is always wearing is it gi? He's wearing a gi. Is that right? Did I
yeah,
get
he's
that
wearing a
right?
gi, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's wearing a gi.
This,
So make sure he's wearing that gi. And then he got his black hair or the Super Saiyan hair, whichever one. I went with the black normal hair this time. So make sure you like have those key things, and people are gonna know who it is. Like so.
yeah,
And
I
then once
found that
it's
out
colored,
with even on like something like the Game Informer cover, right? So that's a
yeah,
commission, but it's freelance, right? It's just a
right.
professional commission. I found that when you want to put your own unique stamp on something, but you also want it to look like the characters, key costume details are the most important, right?
Yeah, and then once it's colored, it's even more recognizable too.
Right. So like
I
in this
think.
case, I took more of a drastic interpretation on, say, the girl from Horizon Zero Dawn,
Aloy, yeah.
Aloy, right, and less of a drastic, design standpoint from, say, The Witcher.
Yeah.
But these key, like the bow and arrow, right, the
Yeah.
boots,
But
the
I knew who it was, right? But I mean, I didn't even have to. No one had to tell me who it was. I knew who it was when you drew it. Because you.
easier, I think, in color. But when you're doing like a
Yeah.
pencil commission, right, like that could be misinterpreted. Sorry
Oh
folks, I'm
yeah,
bringing this
for
up.
sure. But once you do, yeah, and that is the problem. But at the same time, I think you have to keep that in account. Maybe if it isn't, going to be colored, maybe you have to make a few different style choices. I don't
Hmm.
know.
Hmm.
I, uh, I don't know. What would you say?
I really think that when it comes to commissions, you need to get your personal style out
Yeah,
more,
that too.
more than
Yeah, for
trying to
sure.
stay on model.
Yeah.
And I think learning the difference, if you're ever going to produce art that's going to get approved by an editor or uh, uh, a licensor or something like that, you also need to learn to draw within the box. you know.
Yeah.
I just think there's a real like there's nothing more frustrating to me when I see a commission and clearly it's just them redrawing like key
Yeah.
art from the Avengers, right? Here's my Iron Man and it's clearly the key art from the style guide
Yeah.
from Iron Man, you know? Like I get it, you know, but a commission like I just feel like this is my own 2 cents, but I think that's the place for you to experiment with your own style. But at the same time, you want to make sure that the person who's getting the commission can recognize the character because I've gone too far sometimes. Like in the past, I've been like, I remember I did this Final Fantasy 13 saucy that just did not end up well,
Oh,
and they were not too impressed with that back in the day. And I was like,
oh
I'm
no.
not complete, and I'll bring this up, but I'm not completely. Some art styles aren't ready. So like, I'll show this. So this was here. I'll show you folks. Like, this was a commission I did. They were like, they want a Final Fantasy 13. I was trying to get this thing where you get a pose and a head because I thought, if that's on your wall, that would be, something pretty cool. But they wanted the saucy look, so I thought I'd color guide it here. You could see me
Yeah.
pretending to do the
So they
streaks.
were not happy with that?
No, 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 no. They were happy with that.
Oh,
This
okay.
is what they weren't happy with.
Wait, okay. I'm
This.
waiting for it to catch up. Waiting
And
for it to
this,
catch
by
up.
the way, is way brighter than it actually printed. I
Okay,
mean,
hold
than
on.
I actually
So,
painted it.
okay, I don't know if it's caught up yet. So, chick with pearlescent hair. Okay, so that saucy, they weren't.
Yeah,
Okay, the
yeah.
saucy.
Yeah, I wasn't
What?
happy with this either. Just it
Well, I
didn't.
think it looks cool. So, I don't know. I understand. I understand, though, the whole, like, being hard on yourself, artist, like, totally. So, I understand. Um, but I
But
know who that is.
but at
I knew who that
cons,
is.
it's really even more tricky because let's say this go. Let me put this up really quick, folks. So this Goku, right? Like, say I see this and I'm like, fucking, I wanted something like that. And we're at Vegas Con next year, and Nash is at the table, and you're like, I love that Goku. Can you do me something like that? And then you're like, I don't have the 6 fucking hours. Like,
Yeah.
like, what are some things you could do at cons to alleviate that trouble? Do you think? Like, do you have? I mean, you've only been to one con,
Um,
so I'm interested to know. Like, what? And then
I
I'll tell you what
guess.
I think. But go ahead.
I guess so, like, basically to streamline it so it's like I can whip it out fast but be happy with it, sort of.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Don't get creative with the pose. Just do a pose that you're comfortable with and know, and then make sure that you got his hair
Something a little more
and
straight on,
him.
maybe. Maybe a
Yeah,
little.
something just like where he's like maybe posing, like doing a Super Saiyan, like yelling. Um, just like, again, just do something you don't get, like, that con is not the time to get creative. So just do something that you're comfortable with and then go. So I
Yeah, I
feel
think
like,
that's probably the best. And it's tough because you don't want to be like, oh, I'm not being creative. But the realities are, like, you're at a
yeah,
table, you're schmoozing a little bit too.
yeah,
2, you got to draw. 3, you might be selling things. You're selling prints or you're selling art
right.
books. And
And
then 4, you got to go eat at a shitty buffet with Brandon, right? And then hear
yeah,
Brandon snoring because, you might be stuck. So, and how many commissions at a con? Let's say you're there for 2 days. How many commissions do you think is responsible to take for yourself? Like, what do you think would be?
well, I probably took on too many this time because I was like, dollar signs were in my eyes. So
Mm,
I I took like what, 4,
mm,
but I got 1 done at con. So I was only able to do 1 at con because, it was my first con. I didn't really know what I was in for. This next year, I think I could do comfortably 2. And so I think it's just like working your way up and like figuring out, making sure you know how to streamline it, you know. But like I took the other 3 online, and it was totally cool. They were fine with it. They're like, whatever, as long as you can do it, like your art. So,
Yeah, I
but
did 10 at con full color, and
I just couldn't. Yeah, but you also stayed an extra day the night, or an extra day, right, till
I think
Monday.
beyond that, I've just been doing it for 10 years. You
Yeah,
know,
that too. But
you
it
know,
helps
I
if you stay an extra day. It does. But yes,
I
that
think
is true.
responsibly, if they're gonna be like full color commissions, I can do 5 at a
Yeah.
con, right? With the way I work. If
Yeah.
it's mostly pencil or if it's whatever, I can do 10. And I took 15 total, so 5 online. And then
Yeah. See,
those are the
like the
ones.
Batman one was the Batman you showed
Let me open
earlier.
that
That
up.
was the one I did at con.
Yeah,
So that was like the only one I got, and it was full color. I think that if I had taken 2 pencil ones, I could have gotten 2 pencils out, or something. But it's just like you said, it's just learning and
and I think
experience.
something else too, like this Batman has a completely different look than, you know what I mean, than what you were doing
Yeah.
too with, let's say I know you from the Zatanna piece. And I'm like, oh, I love your Zatanna. Can you give me a Batman? Like, do you think that's a good thing to do? Like,
Yeah. This
you
was
know?
me scrambling. I was like,
Yeah, but they also saw your street style when you were, because you have a couple different ways of drawing, you know. And
yeah,
so, like,
yeah, I
when
do.
you're at con, you're selling some of that street art. I think, it's like I've tried to like categorize myself. Like, here's my Copic look. Here's my watercolor look. Here's my ink look. And over the years, I've really tried to like solidify that down. Like, here's the chunky look. So I like to label things because I've been eating at Starbucks since like the 90s. So I'm like chunky, saucy, suave,
Yeah.
So, folks, another bit of advice: if you want to draw something more artistically wild, like you think you call it like wild style or something, right? Like with something like this with the Batman, make certain that your examples aren't like the Zatanna. Like you gotta like
Yeah.
have one or the other. But
Yeah.
let's see here, what else you got? Like, so those are looking pretty dope. Something else I wanted to ask you about. Let me see if I can. This doesn't want to open. Copy the Akira one. Let's see if that'll load up. Yeah, so like drawing cars and shit.
Oh my
Like,
gosh, the bike. Yeah, yeah. That was the first time I actually was. That's like one of the first times I've probably drawn any bike. I don't really draw vehicles that much. Not that I don't want to. I just don't really have a need for it. And
they work
but I
better with
got
like
it.
silhouette. Like, like if you could like block in a car in silhouette.
That's what I did. I blocked the bike in silhouette, and then I just took it really easy on this one. I was like, okay, let's just take our time. So.
But I get a lot of questions about. Sometimes people are like, "Oh, what kinds of things should I put into my, my commissions?" Like this is an old saucy I did. Ooh, man, I hate looking at this stuff.
I want to see it. I'm waiting.
This isn't good. This is not. This was Rob having to pay bills days, I also wanted to learn, and like this was me mixing all the watercolor paints and learning what I could and couldn't do. But you gotta like quickly. This is not representative of me and what I can do. What's funny is when, even at the time, people are like, "This is his art." I'm like, "Fuck," and they're like, "This is."
No, it's not.
Yeah, it's not. It's just me learning. But people do ask, like, do you charge more for a car? Do you charge more for a person? And I really got to think, you got to figure out what is complicated for you to do and what's going, like, what is the, how do I say this? Because someone's asked me, I think, like, I got this question on DeviantArt about commissions, and they're saying, my father says I should charge $50 an hour. I'm like, commissions are more about quality than hourly pay rates.
Yeah, see, that's what my sister, she's like, I'm like, yeah, it's going to be $30. She's like, Ashley, what do you know? And of course she's fine art. So when she does a painting or commission, it's like $2,000. And I'm like, Lauren, it's not the same. It's not the same. And
Yeah. Well, first off, we'll get into the difference between, online pop art commissions and fine art gallery stuff. We'll move that a little bit secondary. But for the most part, people buying fan art have basic, like, real world budgets, right?
Yeah.
50, 20, 50, 100, 150.
Right.
Upper scale, 300, 400 tops, like the most. So unless you have like a super name, but the average I'd say is between 50. Like for full color, I do $100, 90 for me, 10 for shipping within the U.S., and then an extra 15 for shipping overseas because of the packaging and the shipping rates.
Yeah.
But I would say that it's based off the amount of quality I want to spend making, because I think one of the things that artists do is they take the commissions to pay the bills, and then they crank out a lot of stuff like I did with the pencil stuff or the early saucy shots, and then you're finding out that it can affect your art style negatively, I think,
Mhm.
when you're doing too much of that and you're not
Mhm.
right. You ever do too many commissions really fast, and then you start it's like fucking up all your other game, like your construction's
Yeah.
off, your perspective's off, all the things
Yeah.
you would have took a lot of time doing. You're now under pressure. I can if you guys actually ever watch MasterChef?
Very little, but yeah, I know what it. Yeah.
So in
Go ahead.
MasterChef they have like time constraints, right? And the
Yeah. Yeah.
more challenging it gets, they cut out time.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
and you could see what happens when someone tries like I'd spend even the pro chefs would be like that would take me 3 hours. How long you got? 90 minutes. Fuck. Like how does a
Yeah.
amateur?
It's like Food Wars too. They do the same thing.
Yeah, in Food Wars, right?
Yeah.
And so something like this bike, you say you're charging $175 for something like this, to a personal commission, but at a con, like you gonna take that
Yeah.
bike commission or a bike commission, or you gonna be like, like I'll draw like a little tiny plushy bike, like,
Right. Then yeah, that's probably what it would turn into. A toy bike.
right.
Yep.
Um, let's see what else we got here. Just gonna look through some of your stuff because, uh, so what would you say you prefer to do? The pencil, the ink, or the digital full color? Like, what do you think?
I'd say probably just pencils.
Hmm.
Just because pencils, that's the medium I'm most comfortable with. I like it. And I think people also like it the best. And I think it's the most popular. And, it's the least or it's not the least time consuming, but it's less time consuming than full color. And, but it's still like the best quality of line work, I think. So pencils,
I think. Let's see here.
Although when someone does want a digital colored piece, I get really happy because I do like coloring digital. It's fun because I get to practice and usually I learn something new. So that's fun too.
That's the one thing I don't do.
Really coloring
Yeah, I
digital?
don't do any digital commissions for that.
Yeah. Is it
Like,
because you have to order prints too? Or just you don't
no,
do it?
it's just there's file setup and
Yeah.
and a bunch of other things that go along with it. And for me, like I'm trying to, we'll get to this. So I want to scale up some of my pieces to sell
Yeah.
gallery style art.
Yeah.
And to me, what I do with digital colors doesn't lend itself to that in any way, shape, or
Yeah.
form. Like when I'm doing the watercolor saucy or I'm doing the color pencil, I know I can scale that up and that'll work. Digital is, I don't care what people say, folks. Like there's some out there who do well with it. For the most part, though, people don't respect digital colors.
They don't. No, I will say that. I may say it's fun to do, but do I say people like it? No, not nearly as much as the traditional because for some reason they still think that anybody can do that, and I don't think that that's necessarily true. I mean, you still have to know light and composition and all that and how it blends together correctly.
Yeah,
Light and shadow.
the only digital coloring commissions I've ever taken is I did some of the landscape ones when I was doing like the little landscapes
Yeah.
because I'd be like, okay, 45 minutes, and I would
Yeah.
charge $40. I'm like dollar a minute, give or take. You know what I mean? Like 5 minutes
Yeah.
for me to get my head around it and then go, and that was like 20 minutes setting it up, 25 minutes to do the color, and whatever I end up with, you bought. Like that was like I was just doing that to see what can I do. And I
Yeah.
think commissions could be a great way, folks. If you want to learn color pencil, you want to learn how to watercolor, you want to learn how to do digital, if you want to learn something, charge for it as a commission. Just charge a lot less. And this way someone's paying you to learn how to do it. Now you're going to spend more time in the beginning, so you could spend 8 hours to make $40, which you're like, that's fucking crazy. But after a while, you're going to spend an hour to make the $40. You could spend 40 minutes to make the $40 or $100 or $150. It scales up. So, let me think what we've covered. We covered promoting commissions in terms of getting them, right? How to talk to a client a little bit. Do you prefer using Etsy as a pay option, PayPal, Square Up? Like, what are some, like, if they want to, I want to send you here's the thing. Someone says they want to buy something from you, I want you to commission. They pay you first or they pay you after you're done? Which is it?
I have them pay me first.
Okay.
Unless it's like a close friend or something, then I'm like, it doesn't matter because I trust them. But I do payment first.
Commissions.
So
This is the difference between commissions and freelance. Commissions pay up front. Freelance,
yeah,
you have to invoice.
yeah,
And
I agree. Yeah,
yeah, and that's the way I run it. Period. Like,
yeah, yeah. The only exceptions, friends and family, like close friends and family.
see,
That I can
I'm
trust.
different. I don't draw for friends or family. Like,
Well, and I don't really draw for family. I'm just saying if you did one for family, it's usually friends. And when I say friends, like friends that are like in the world of comics and art and like
right.
not just any friend,
The reason why, folks, is if for friends and family, they always want me to draw them as the character. You're always
Yeah, well,
gonna be
no,
like,
that ain't the case here.
yeah, I always get that. Draw me as the Hulk. I'm like, fucking Photoshop
No.
you Snapchat. I don't give a shit. Like
My friend, no, I have a particular friend who's like, just draw the naked chicks. I'm like, okay. Like,
right. So you got the payment, then you got, you got maybe some reference pics you go get of the character. You
Exactly.
draw your interpretation. You post it onto the Instagram. Then you have to ship it to them, right?
Yeah.
How do you ship stuff? Like, what is your preferred method?
Stamps.com. That's a really good. Did that answer your question?
Yeah, no, I use stamps.com. Over here, I have a black and white laser printer. If you guys look on my Instagram, I just kind of showed it off in a video. I don't want to turn the camera.
I have it too.
Can I turn the camera a little? Yeah, right there. There it is. See it work. That's my.
I think I have the same one as Rob.
Yeah, I think I was like, this is the one I use.
Yeah,
I
like,
use
okay.
it because it's super effective on ink, and a laser printer, the ink is fused, so if it gets wet, it won't. If you use like a Canon inkjet printer to print your fucking labels, it's gonna run right off the minute it gets wet. Or you have to write them out, and I have a friend who did a Kickstarter who's been really successful at it, and he has like 800 backers, and he's manually writing out all the. And I'm like, why are you doing that? Get the fucking. This was $80. And he's like, oh, I don't know, man. It's just.
That's like setting yourself up for making a mistake.
Big time. So I use a stamps.com. I print out my postage on the laser printer. I use rigid, like a rigid mailer. Just type in rigid mailers. I get them from like Uline. Uline is where I
use the same ones.
Same rigid mailers. And do you put like for artwork? I will get because I ship first class priority. I go down to the post office and you can get first class priority mailers, and I cut those down as protection because you're allowed to use them anyway since you're already paying for the postage. But I use that to protect the artwork. I'll seal it, put it in there. I don't do that for prints because that would take for fucking ever. I put the prints in the rigid mailer, seal it with masking tape so it doesn't open. But for real like commissioned art, I always protect it. Do you put any form of extra protection on the physical art?
Right. Sometimes depending on the circumstances, I'll do board backing. But since I have the rigid mailers now, I tend to not do that. I just put it in a clear bag and seal it.
Always put it in a clear bag at the very least.
You never know when it's gonna rain, it's gonna get wet. That's gonna protect it from the elements. So I'll put it in a clear bag, seal that, and I'll probably even put tape on that just in case the seal decides to come unstuck.
Yeah.
Or whatever, and then I'll put it in there. Put it in the flat rigid mailer. Buy like fragile stickers. Put a fragile sticker on both sides of the rigid mailer so people can see and they don't miss it. And I tape the rigid mailer at the top.
Always add extra masking tape to the rigid mailer.
Yeah.
Folks. So I used to have a video up. I'll do another video soon on like my exact packing method. But just, some quick tips. Always seal the shit out of it because the rigid mailer will come undone. And then you ship it off. And what are the odds they'll actually say thank you once they get it? 50-50?
Yes, 50-50. I would really say 50-50 because that's about what I've seen so far.
And is there anything else? And then we start the cycle back over again, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Take the art.
Yeah, as long as I don't hear any complaints from them, I'm not going to be like, "Did you get it? Did you get it?" Because they'll let you know if they didn't. So.
Was there anything else about commissions I've missed, Ashley? You want to any highlights? Things you're like, if you only knew this. even a few years ago, or we covered it
Not
all.
that. Yeah, nothing comes to my mind right now. So.
All right. So like I said, folks, I don't have any slots open right now. I'm still gotta color this. Gotta color this Wolverine this week, so that'll be fun. But in another month or so, maybe right after Christmas, I'll put up some slots. But if you want to get some from Ashley, and I gotta be honest, I gotta jump in on this sucker. She does have. Let me open this back up. She does have a Kickstarter going on for at least a few more days. So you
Yeah.
can get a piece of art here at the Art of Vilthanius. And I'll have a link right below, folks, so you can just click on that. And I think that's it, right? Are we good?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a good conversation. Let's see if we got anything in the chat room. People not satisfied. What do you do when people aren't satisfied with the art? No refunds.
Yeah. I know. Yeah. That's a good thing to bring up. Thank you, Napalma 810. Sorry if I. And Daisuke Uchi. I'm sorry. I
Daisuke.
just really butchered your name. If you can send me a link to your stuff somehow, I will look at it. So, Gangfeather, anything. Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. Just find me, send me a link somehow. Okay.
But if people aren't satisfied with the commission, no refunds.
Yeah.
You always put in your best effort, but that's it, folks. Which is also why I always come down a little bit off the highest sticker price. Like I could probably charge $150 every time I do color pretty easily, but I come down to $90. I like the Bob Ross method. That I think the more regular people own real art, the more it's within their ability to own it, the more they'll appreciate.
Yeah.
So I like to make certain that my art is so. Like when it comes to the color pencil Copic, I charge about 100. I go up to 150, 180 on the saucies because they're hard. like I don't want a lot of saucy commissions at this point.
Yeah.
So I go up a little more to bring down the amount of people who buy them. But if you want to get better at something, like you haven't done something in a while, come down on the price, and then the increase goes over. But no refunds, folks. Like that's it, and they got to know up front. Like there's a disclaimer. You don't have to like shut it. By the way, no refunds because that'll scare them. What are you gonna fucking do? Like it's kind of like you ever have someone ask you what's your hourly rate, and then you're like, it's like what's your hourly rate? And then you're like, I don't know, like 75. So how long is it gonna take you to do it? I'm like, I don't fucking. You knew it on that path. Someone wants to know how long it's going to take you to do it because you charge by an hour. Like that's why I don't do hourly rates. I just charge flat.
Yeah.
Like I figure out what I need to do, even for freelance. But when they're like per hour, we are.
Yeah, because if I wanted to charge per hour, it would be out of your price range, probably.
If I want to charge per hour, I'd fucking go get a real job. Like 'cause I don't want, whether it takes me an hour or 15 minutes or 7 hours or 10 hours, we're talking about quality. Commissions to me are about quality, period. Lost or damaged artwork after it has been sent. Good question. Always get a tracking number. Okay? Always get a tracking number. Send it. If it's been damaged, I always say this, if the package was damaged on their end, but before, don't open it. Take it right back to your post office center and have them send it back to me so I'll get it. If you open that art after it's been damaged, the post office won't send it back. If it's been lost, that's up to you. If it was easy to make, you can do a one more fix, But
what about didn't you have one of those? What happened to the Predator piece?
that was different. I did this Predator commission. I'll bring this up really quick. This is good. This is so rare, folks, that this happens. But I did this Predator commission, and here we go. Here. And the guy who got this didn't like the fact that it took me like a month or so to do it. I think it was like 2 months. Because it came at the end of a Kickstarter, and then I was doing other stuff on the Kickstarter. So he got that. This was a separate situation, but he got that, and then after it arrived, he lived overseas. There's a VAT tax. So normally, like, you put gift on the VAT form. But over there, they opened it and, like, this isn't a gift. This is art. So they wanted him to pay, I don't know, an extra $30 or I don't know. It could be 60. I don't know. They wanted to pay extra money to get the art. And he was like, I'm not doing that. I'm like, that isn't, I got nothing to do with that.
Yeah.
You know? So he was like, well, I don't want it. So my business partner, Josh at the time, sold that art to someone else. Okay, so we'll just send it back. You don't want it, they'll ship it back. And then when it arrives to me, I can forward it. But then his friend wanted that art. So his friend bought it there. And then I was stuck on the hook for another Predator. So I had to make this one. I had to remake. This is the second version of that. I had to remake the art. I just made a green background. I had to make it twice, you know?
Yeah.
But I'm like, I'm not, like, at the time I was a little bit more sympathetic to that. But he then apologized because he was like, I'm just unfamiliar with the process and how it works, you know? And so I can say it's so rare that that's occurred. It's never happened since. And that was like 4 years ago. But it is a weird situation. Oh, great. Listen to that.
Yeah.
We got to get through that noise, folks. It's the problems with OBS. So, if the artwork got lost, you can choose to recreate it, or you can be like, that's not my problem. You know? And it really depends on how well, one, how much did they spend, you know? And two, how cool have they been? Because if they've been dicks the whole fucking time, here's my tracking number. It got sent. I don't know what to do. You know, also, that's why I have the Etsy store, so I can point to reviews. So it can say, look, you know, if I go to my, this is shameless self-promotion, but if I click on the where's the Etsy store? There's nothing in there right now, so it's not like fucking that big a deal. But if we go to the Etsy store, there's my reviews. I got 12 reviews, and they're all positive, you know? So it's like you can read the reviews and see, I got my stuff. It's amazing. Looks better in person. Da, 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 da. So I always point, you know, to the reviews as like an indicator of like, if something got lost, that's fucking not the norm, you know, by any stretch of the imagination. Prints, I just replace them, you know, but physical art, you really gotta like,
Yeah.
you know.
It's a different situation.
Have I gotten a request for 2 artists to work on one commission? I would never do that. So I would
So
never.
you're saying 2 people come to you to do one piece of work?
No. Let's say someone wants a commission where I'm drawing the Naruto and you're drawing the Goku.
Oh,
and then
that,
we gotta
yeah,
coordinate.
compilation kind of.
Then we got to
Yeah, I
coordinate. No, just buy a Goku from me, buy a Naruto from her, and then when they eventually
Yeah.
arrive, put them on your wall next to one another. Like,
Exactly.
you know, or you know, that's how it works. Because that's starting to turn into freelance. You know, where I have to get it to someone and they have to hand it off.
Yeah.
I'm not doing it. All right, everybody, we've been doing this now for about 48 minutes. If you have any other questions, we will cover it again in another art tips. I want to make sure these aren't going longer than they have to.
Yeah.
Be sure to check out Ashley's Kickstarter or just check out her stuff on Instagram or anything else. All the links are below right now, so you can definitely check out all the stuff there. Ashley, thanks for coming on the cast.
Thanks. I need to do more. I need to come back and do more podcasts. I kind of miss them.
When you want to complain about art,
Well, yeah.
this is the place to do it.
When I want to rant, yeah.
Someone was saying the other day, like, you sound a little snarky, you know, on the cast. I'm like, no shit. Like, welcome to fucking SnarkCraft. Like, I should go.
You've earned it. You've earned it.
I'm getting old, man. You see all the gray in the hair? This is what's, you know, that's what happens. You know, we do it. That's how we roll it. But I do appreciate you all hanging out with me and asking questions to Palma Daisuke, Michael, and all the other lurkers and bots. Totally appreciate it. Please leave questions below. We will answer them. I got a bunch of art tips coming out this week. Brandon and stuff's going to join on me. And I'll have Ashley on again pretty soon whenever she isn't so... You're so busy, though, right? Like,
I am a little bit right now.
You're always busy. All right, Ashley, thanks for hanging out. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Bye. Peace, everybody. Let's see if it... Martin.